Welcome back, my loves, to another episode of Embodied Divinity. If you've been feeling the deep stillness, the pause, the in between, this episode is for you. Today, we are diving into something I think is often misunderstood in the world of manifestation, spirituality, and personal growth, and that's the art of receiving. Because we talk a lot about intention, action, and alignment. But what about the part where we allow what we've asked for to actually arrive? This is a conversation about surrender, trust, and making space for miracles. And let me tell you, this has been one of the biggest lessons of my own journey. And it's one I'm still deepening into now. So let's get cozy, grab some tea, something comfortable, breathe deep, and let's talk about how to stop chasing, how to stop forcing, and start opening to what's already here. Let's open our space today by taking a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you listen to this episode, and really any time that we're in this sacred space together, let's set the intention to really focus on that breath. Breathing in through your nose, pausing momentarily at the top, and audibly exhaling through your mouth. Knowing that as you do this, your body's going to relax into a deeper state, and you'll receive even more of what is meant for you. And just so you know, as always, this week's podcast episode is going to be supplemented by a shorter meditation on Wednesday about how to really receive and open. And then on Friday, a subliminal sleep meditation that will help you reprogram your subconscious mind while you sleep to receive more deeply. So as you listen to today's episode, listen to the meditations and all of the supplemental posts that I do on Substack or TikTok throughout the week, you're going to have every single thing you need to be able to implement everything we talk about here and create a deeper awareness and capacity to receive. So I wanted to start out today by first talking about why receiving can sometimes feel harder than doing. And this was one of my biggest issues of just the whole spiritual manifestation journey. I've always been really good at doing and producing, and not so much at just being. So if you've ever been feeling stuck or uninspired or like you're not hearing guidance from Source right now, I want you to hear me. You are not blocked. You are being asked to receive. But the truth is, receiving is harder than doing, and here are a few reasons why. Number one, we've been conditioned as a collective to believe that work equals worth. It starts from the time we're little, the systems that have been set up to go to school and get this job or go to higher education, or all of the different structures that society has put around us and called them success. Society literally celebrates grind culture, the hustle, the productivity. We feel guilty for resting and unworthy when we're not actively doing something. Many of us have an inner voice saying, I haven't done enough to deserve this. And it could come from random things your parents said, or you learned at school, or just generational trauma that's been stuck in your system. but we have to be willing to observe this conditioning and choose something different. Number two, receiving requires surrender, and surrender requires trust. So we've talked a lot about surrender on different episodes. And if you want to deepen into that, go back a couple of episodes and find the meditations and teachings on surrender, because it's such a key part of this work. Manifestation isn't just about action. It's about alignment. If we constantly push, chase, and control, we block the flow that's trying to come in. I often give the example of, like, if you have a calendar or a life that's so full that every minute is scheduled out, there's no room for source to come in and create miracles. If you have a plan that you're so rigid with, or a date or a deadline or an idea that you're so set on, there's no wiggle room for source to come in and create magic. And often, pretty much always, that bigger picture, that higher perspective, is more wild and more magnificent than we ever could have imagined, because our current intentions and desires are only based on the experiences we've had up until now, which were largely based in the past. Source, our higher self, has the bigger view, the whole picture, and knows exactly what we need to surrender into to create that magic that we desire. And so we have to leave space and room for the magic to flow. How often have you prayed for something, but then tried to force it into existence? What if instead of gripping tightly, we let go and allowed? Let's take a deep breath into that. What if I let go and allowed? There's also a fear of receiving that's often present when we're having a hard time just opening, and it's a nervous system issue. Sometimes receiving what we've asked for actually feels unsafe because it's unfamiliar, and the ego wants to keep us in the familiar because the ego knows how to control that space. If you've ever had love or money or success and then lost it, your body might subconsciously resist having it again. Receiving is an expansion of energy, and expansion often feels uncomfortable at first. And so we have to be willing to stretch and open. I had the same thing come up as I started to create music, and it's something I've finally started to move through and free myself from. But I created these tracks, and it felt really good and it felt really beautiful. And then all of a sudden I let these doubts and fears and projections come into my mind. And it kind of took that excitement out of it, because I wanted to have a certain outcome, a certain amount of people listening, or a certain impact. And it took me up until just a few weeks ago to really find that joy and that spark again. To really be able to let go and just create for the joy of it rather than any outcome. And that can feel scary sometimes. But when we can sink back into opening and allowing, what we feel is really held and supported by the universe. So if you've been wondering why things aren't flowing perfectly, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It might just be that you're being asked to do less and receive more. And it's funny, even hearing that or saying that the first few times, it can feel counterintuitive based on what your ego's known for so long. In my family, we had to work really hard for everything we got. It was like this rule of thumb my grandpa had, and even like I worked in the family business for one of my first jobs, and the rule was if you are family and you work here, you work 10 times as hard and you get paid 50% less because you have to prove yourself. And even in our family, we had to prove ourselves through actions and service and loyalty and all of these things. And so I was conditioned to believe that I could only receive if I was working really, really hard to earn it. And so the last 3 years when I've been in this really surrendered state, it has been wild to watch my nervous system first go into panic and then go into a deep state of surrender that almost felt like apathy. And then for this last year, finally finding more joy and vigor for life. And really being able to be in joy as I was surrendered and receive as I was surrendered and feel pleasure as I was surrendered and simply being and existing rather than proving and producing. So I just want you to sink into that and see what's coming up for you as you hear this, as you feel into this. And let's take another deep breath. Okay, so how do we shift from chasing or striving to simply receiving? So we know why receiving feels hard now, but how do we actually shift into a space where we can allow what's meant for us to come in? The first thing is to open your energy field and release resistance. Start by asking yourself, and you can do this right now, where am I unknowingly blocking what I've been asking for? Because remember, the moment you ask, it's already there. It's only our own subconscious mind and ego that prevents us from receiving. So where am I unknowingly blocking what I've been asking for? Are you so focused on the how that you're not allowing it to arrive in unexpected ways? Do you have a set idea for how this thing, this experience, this opportunity is meant to come in? And ask yourself, if something showed up for me, if this thing showed up for me today, would I be able to hold it? If this desire that I have showed up right now, would I be able to hold it? And just notice what's there without any judgment. And let's affirm together. I release all resistance to receiving. I allow ease, flow, and abundance into my life. I'll put that affirmation on the description for this so that you can continue to say it. Number 2, now that we've really opened our energy field to release resistance, now we create space for what we desire. Nature hates a vacuum. If you want something new, you have to make room for it. If you want more love, create space emotionally and physically. If you want more abundance, clear out old money beliefs and let go of scarcity-driven actions. The universe fills the space you create, so ask yourself, what needs to go? Number 3, we're going to let go of the how and shift into trust. So we've already opened up. We've released some resistance. We've noticed what could be blocking us and created space. Now we're letting go of how and really sinking into trust. When you micromanage how your blessings will arrive, you block the infinite ways they could come. Remember, if you have a thought about something, it's based on the past. If you surrender into something, you're opening up to that higher perspective. Your only job is to align your energy, take inspired action, and stay open. When I say take inspired action, I don't mean all of the things you think you should do or somebody's told you you should do to receive this. I mean what intuitively feels good. And that could literally be resting. It could be cleaning out a closet in your house. It could be opening a new bank account. It could be watching Netflix and letting your whole entire body just relax into your bed for hours. I can't say what aligned action is for you, but I can tell you that it feels warm and good. Example, if you want to find more financial flow, but only focus on one source of income, you might miss unexpected blessings. This is about opening up every channel of possibility, mind, body, and spirit. Next, we're going to recognize when we're already receiving. You might actually already be in receiving mode, but you're too focused on what's next to notice. How often do we get what we asked for and immediately move to the next thing? This is where gratitude comes in. Gratitude for everything that's already here. When I really step back and think about my current reality, I am in awe because there were so many versions of my past self that prayed and cried and pleaded for the life I'm living now. And sometimes I do find myself getting caught up in what's next and how do I create more, instead of really basking in this gratitude. And as you're basking, of course, you can say, and more, please. I love this, and more, please. I'm so incredibly grateful for this, and more, please. But it's really about, first and foremost, sinking into what's already here, no matter how small or large. And really noticing the small ways you receive. For me, there's been so many little things, like almost every day the past month, somebody has opened the door, both going into and out of the gym. The other night at hot yoga, this girl, as soon as I was getting up, she offered to grab my equipment and put it away from me. Like, there's so many little things that mean so much that oftentimes we don't stop and pause and really sink into the energy of how much we truly are being supported and gifted in every moment. And really, one more big step that we're going to take is starting to embody the version of you who already has all the things you desire. And I like to ask myself this: if the version of you who already has what you want was sitting here right now, how would they act, think, and breathe? If you literally were witnessing yourself having everything that you currently desire, how would you act, think, and breathe? I know for me, I have really deep, steady, opening breaths, feeling in joy and gratitude for all that's here, and excited about what's to come. You've got to ask that question and start embodying that now. Instead of asking, how do I manifest this? Ask, how do I become the person who already has it? And this is where I urge you to think about outside the box, because one thing that I really struggled with, I had my first business coach 13 years ago, and wealth consciousness was something she claimed to know about. But I realized a couple of years in that she was deeply programmed, because she was telling us how to act wealthy. And what I didn't realize back then was how to act wealthy for her looked very different than how to act wealthy for me. And so she wanted us to dress this certain part and act this certain way, and it just didn't feel good to me. And so a couple of years in, I remember I asked myself, If I truly was as wealthy as I wanted to be, how would I dress? How would I behave? How would I feel? And my answer was most of the time I would be in really yummy, comfy loungewear, honestly, kind of being in my home, baking all this fresh food, really intentionally cleaning my house, gardening in a luscious garden. And there would be moments where I got all dressed up and did my makeup and wore the jewelry, but often I would just be comfortable. Because for me, for so long, it was about survival and faking it till you make it. And I was ready to leave that part behind. And as every year I've embodied more and more wealth and attracted more and more wealth, I see the truth of it. We all have a unique way of being when our desires come and they don't match up to anyone else's. I do get to wear really comfy, yummy loungewear most of the time. And there are occasions when I get dressed up and all dolled up to go out, but most of the time I'm in a really comfy outfit in my really cozy home, baking really yummy food and intentionally feeding my household with cleaning and gardening and all the things that bring me joy. And if I would have continued to try to be somebody else's version of aligned, it wouldn't have worked for me because we are all so unique. We have to sink into what would this actually look like for me, not from anybody else's standard. So we've gone over these 5 things that you can do to start receiving, but I want to give you some really practical practices that you can start doing now. Number 1, there is a morning receiving meditation that's super simple. It's nothing you have to listen to. We're going to talk about it right now. But again, Wednesday and Friday, I will have those 2 meditations, and I have a ton on my YouTube channel right now, all about receiving and embodying your desires. But for something quick, right now, place your hand over your heart and say, I welcome all the blessings meant for me today. I receive with ease. I trust with peace. Breathe deeply into that and feel yourself open. I welcome all the blessings meant for me today. I receive with ease. I trust with peace. I'll put that in the description under wherever you're listening to this as well. Number 2, start saying yes to small, unexpected blessings. If someone offers to help, say yes. If a compliment comes, say yes. Notice when you've been subconsciously rejecting what's meant for you and just start to say yes. See what changes. Try it for 7 days. Come back here next Monday and tell me about what changed in the last 7 days of just saying yes. Number 3, go through your life physically, emotionally, and spiritually and clear space. Donate clothes, clear out old beliefs, clean your home, clean your car, let go of the relationships that are very draining on you. Clear out your space. Number 4, the it's already done mindset. Throughout the day, repeat, it's already done. What is meant for me is already on its way. And when you say it's already done, you start to tell your subconscious mind that it's okay to start to behave knowing that it's already done. It's already done. What is meant for me is already on its way. It's already done. What is meant for me is already on its way. It's already done. What is meant for me is already on its way. Feel the energy shift from waiting to expecting. And this is really powerful. I hope this episode serves as a reminder that you do not have to chase what is already yours. The universe is always trying to pour into you, but you have to be open enough to receive it. This week, I invite you to try one of these receiving practices. Get curious about what you might be blocking. And most of all, trust that you're already in receiving mode. Trust that everything you desire is already here. If this resonated, I'd love for you to share it. Send it to someone who might need it. And as always, I love hearing your reflections. You can comment below wherever I posted this. Until next time, breathe deep, open your hands, and let yourself receive. Love you big. Bye-bye.